Hello everyone and welcome back to the sessions on financial reporting. Friends, in this class of financial reporting we are continuing with the topic Ind AS 115 and that is titled as revenue from contracts with customers. This video happens to be the third part of this topic. So my sincere advice to all of you, if you are directly watching this video without reference to part 1 and part 2, it will not be something good. I would advise you to go and first watch the first two parts and then this part can be taken up. However, if you have already watched those videos or you have already that background concepts cleared up, then definitely you can continue watching this one. If you can remember, the whole structure of Ind AS 115 is based on 5-step model. So those 5 steps that completely structures the revenue recognition concept, we have been discussing step 1, 2 and 3 in the previous sessions. We were into step 3 in the last class and step 3 is all about determining the transaction price. In the last class we have seen multiple elements of transaction price. Transaction price has its very first element as variable consideration. This component we have already discussed, and there are other components of transaction price where my focus today will be on the financing component, that is significant financing component included along with the transaction price or that affects the transaction price. So I want all of you to write something throughout the session. Writing notes and writing solutions of questions will be part of your understanding. And one more thing, because I will not be giving you enough time to write down everything in detail, I would suggest you, if at all you want to note down something, you may just pause the video, note it down and then again resume the video. So first thing that I would want you to write up is this title, which is forming part of the third step, that is determining the transaction price, significant financing component. Now friends, it is important to assess involvement of any financing component which can affect the transaction price, whether it is to be included and has not been included or which is already included but should be excluded from the same. So for computing the proper transaction price, involvement of this significant financing component is something important which you need to understand very well. Let me give you a simple example. Suppose I have sold a product to a customer where generally I sell the product at rupees 500. I have asked the customer to make payment after 1 year, and the amount of money that I have charged from the customer after 1 year is definitely with our mutual understanding, it is rupees 600. That means the condition is straight. If the customer is paying upfront at the time of purchasing the product, I will be charging only 500. If the customer is willing to pay after 1 year, I will charge 600. So there are two different prices that I have quoted to customer and I have left it at the choice of customer. In that case, suppose the customer is choosing to pay after 1 year and choosing to pay rupees 600, the question is, can I consider entire 600 as the product price which I have sold? The answer is no, because there is an established sale price of that product which is rupees 500. When I am charging rupees 600 from the customer, it is as good as customer has taken a kind of loan facility from me. That means customer has taken a finance facility from me and I am charging something towards that financing component. So when I get that 600, every amount of that 600 is not the transaction price. Out of 600, one part is significant financing component, which is very clear in this example that it would be rupees 100, which will be financing component, and the other part 500 will be considered as the transaction price. So friends, one thing very important, separation of this financing component, if at all it is included in the total payment for assessing the transaction price, that separation is very important. So friends, I just gave you an example where the customer has taken a finance facility from the supplier. It could be the other way also. It could be that customer has given advance money to the supplier and the supplier is just transferring the goods at a later date but collected the money in advance. So let me give you more clear examples to have a better understanding of this. So first of all, we will do one thing. Before we write up some notes on significant financing component, my suggestion would be, let us first take examples and understand the concept of significant financing component involved in the transaction price, and then we can write up notes and solve questions. Let us take two important examples of both types. Both types means type 1 where the customer has taken a finance facility from the supplier, type 2 where the supplier has taken a finance facility from the customer. Let me give you first example. Suppose I am a supplier and I am selling a product to the customer. The price of the product for outright sale, that means the price of the product if it is immediately payable in cash, is rupees 1 lakh. I have given the customer 2 years time, and of course there will be a separate price that will be charged towards the interest for delayed payment because I have given customer 2 years time. Point is, 2 years time can be considered as a significant period. If this significant period is 2 years, definitely it is involving some financing component. So how much price I would charge to this customer? I have considered implicit interest rate for my own calculations as 10% per annum. So if you pay me the amount right away, I will just take rupees 1 lakh. If you pay me after 1 year, I will take 1 lakh plus 10%, that is 1 lakh 10,000. If you pay me after 2 years, I will add 10% interest over 2 years period, and of course it will get compounded. So 1 lakh plus 10%, that would make 1 lakh 10,000 plus another 10%, that would make it 1 lakh 21,000. 1 lakh 21,000 is the total amount that the customer will pay me, and customer is okay to pay me 1 lakh 21,000, and the control of the goods have been transferred to the customer right today. The date of agreement, the control of the goods have been transferred. That means the goods have been sold, but the payment has not been received yet. The question is, total amount that I will receive is 1 lakh 21,000. Out of 1 lakh 21,000, the transaction price for recognizing the revenue on sale of goods will be just 1 lakh, which is basically the price which is available for making immediate payment. So it is obvious that out of 1 lakh 21,000, rupees 21,000 will be the financing component which is involved in this total payment. So what and how we will recognize the whole transaction? We will first recognize the sale of rupees 1 lakh, then the interest accruals over 2 year period summing up to 21,000. So that means I have to collect two different types of payments from the customer, the transaction price 1 lakh and the financing component 21,000. Both aggregated, it will be 1 lakh 21,000. After 2 years, customer would pay me rupees 1 lakh 21,000, I would receive it. Matter over. Now let us do one thing, let us completely revise the scenario the other way. The other way means the opposite situation. Imagine that I am selling a product, the price, the cash price of that product would have been rupees 1 lakh 21,000. Okay, this time customer has given me 1 lakh rupees as an advance payment, as a full and final settlement, and the product will be delivered after 2 years. Now it is the other way around, right? That is, the supplier has as if taken advance from the customer, and supplier has considered this as if a loan outstanding, as if amount borrowed from customer. So customer has given finance facility to the supplier. This time amount paid full and final by customer as an advance and final settlement amount, it is 1 lakh. But the question is, can I consider 1 lakh as a transaction price? No. 1 lakh cannot be the transaction price. So we will have to seek the transaction price. So when you find the future value of this 1 lakh after 1 year, so when the product is being delivered to the customer, when the control of the goods is being handed over to the customer, that time the price of the product will be 1,21,000. So the transaction price will be 1,21,000. So 1,21,000 is nothing but 1 lakh plus 10% per annum interest for 2 years will sum up to 1,21,000. So 1 lakh is the immediate payment made by the customer as an advance payment, and because the time lag between this payment and the delivery of goods, it is a significant time, and it is clearly obvious that there is a financing component involved. When particularly when in the scenario I express the fact that 10% is the implicit interest rate, then you are definitely going to consider that financing component. So friends, many a times financing component is not considered. Here you should be very, very clear with the facts when financing component is not to be considered. So let us talk about scenarios where financing component should not be considered. Suppose a customer has a poor credit rating and I am going to supply goods over a contract period of 3 months, but I am seeking all amount to be paid in advance, then only I will start the supply, otherwise I will not start the supply. If entire amount is paid in advance, can you understand, myself being a supplier, my objective was never to arrange finance with this arrangement, correct? My objective was to making sure that the customer does not make any default in the payment. Customer should pay the amount timely. That is why, because of the poor credit rating of the customer, I have taken that amount in advance. So this advance payment does not involve any financing component. More importantly, what you can check is if the payment is made now and if the payment is made little later, is there difference in the payment, and is that difference a significant difference? In that case, you will consider involvement of financing component. Let me give you one more example. Suppose I would offer some kind of services on a regular basis. So what happens? Take this way, that my profession, my business is to provide these kind of financial learning concepts. Now suppose there is a course that I have designed which would be structured over a 6-month period. So logically the total revenue that I am collecting from a candidate who is a student who happens to be my customer will be a 6-month period. Over this 6-month period, I should spread my revenue over 6 months period basically. But if you could see, I will always ask entire amount upfront advance, then only I will give access to my lectures. The objective of me taking entire amount of money as an advance payment is never to seek finance. It is never to seek a financing facility, rather to make an assurance that the customer is paying the amount and then getting the product. So friends, the point is you have to use your right judgment and the conditions given under Ind AS 115 to assess whether there is any significant financing component involved or not. So first of all, what we do is the couple of examples that I have just talked about, let me put it over here on the screen and I would want you to note it down. And I told you friends, while you have to write something, just pause the video, note it down and again resume the video. I would be giving just a few seconds of pause for stopping and resuming the video. So let us move ahead and take up those examples. For your reference, I would just expand the screen size. So let us begin with those examples. Example number 1. On 1/4/2019, X Limited agrees to sell a product to its customer at a price of rupees 1,21,000, which will be payable after 2 years from the date of transfer of control of such product to customer, that is on 31/3/2021. So what we can see from this example, the sale is effected on 1/4/2019 and the payment will be made after 2 years from the date of transfer of control. So control is transferred on this date, but the payment will be made on 31/3/2021. The effective rate of interest is 10% per annum and the price charged by X Limited for outright sale, that is cash sale price is 1 lakh. Now one thing is very clear, because there is a delayed payment from the side of customer, that is why X Limited is charging 1,21,000 as the price to that customer. If the customer would have paid amount as a cash sale price, then the amount would have been only 1 lakh. So it is a clear thing that between 1 lakh and 1,21,000, that difference is clearly reflecting the financing component. So here it is the customer who has got the finance, and therefore X Limited shall recognize the finance income over here. So the question is asking you, determine the transaction price and the financing component, also show necessary accounting entries. So friends, if you can closely observe, definitely 1,21,000 is not the transaction price. Transaction price will be 1 lakh, and what we can see is difference between 1 lakh and 1,21,000, that is difference between the transaction price and the total amount to be paid by the customer will reflect the financing component, which will be recognized as interest income over the period of 2 years, that is over the payment period. And it is already given that effective interest rate is 10% per annum. If we try to verify, 1 lakh is the amount due from customer at the point of sale. For 1 year, the interest at 10%, if you accumulate with this outstanding, it will be 1 lakh plus 10%, that is 1,10,000, and in the next year it will be 10% charged on 1,10,000. So obviously the interest component will be 10% of 1,10,000, and that will become 11,000 as interest, and 1,10,000 plus 11,000 will make it 1,21,000. So it is clear reflection of effective interest rate of 10% per annum. So let us see how to write up the answer for the same. In your answer you can just mention one thing, rupees 1 lakh if you can consider for a time gap of 2 years with 10% per annum effective interest rate, it will definitely become 1,21,000. Now the accounting entries what you will pass will be customers account debit 1 lakh to sales. Sales will be recognized only at rupees 1 lakh. At end of each year, X Limited will recognize interest income for the delayed payment. So on 31/3/2020, it will be customers account debit to interest income, that is 10,000. Again on 31/3/2021, it will be customers account debit to interest income. Thereafter, finally, if you can see, the total amount that the customer will have to pay will be aggregate of 1 lakh plus 10,000 plus 11,000, and that works out to 1,21,000. That will be the final payment made by the customer. So 1,21,000 in this entire scenario, which is paid by customer on 31/3/2021. This is the aggregate of the transaction price on account of sale plus the financing component, that is the interest income recognized over the payment period. So final conclusion is transaction price is 1 lakh, financing component is 21,000 recognized in this pattern, and the total amount paid by customer will be 1,21,000. So friends, take note of this whole thing, and that will be end of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and take up the next example of the other situation that we have been talking about. So on 1/4/2019, X Limited agrees to sell a product to its customer at a price of rupees 1 lakh payable immediately. The control of such product to the customer shall be transferred after 2 years from the date of payment, that is on 31/3/2021. So can you notice one thing here? The customer is making the payment immediately the moment the agreement is entered into, and the transfer of product is happening after 2 years. That means this time can't we observe that the customer has paid an advance? It is the entity X Limited which is going to recognize this as a borrowing kind of thing, or it is X Limited which will recognize a financing component in the nature of finance expenses. So the effective rate of interest is 10% per annum, and the price charged by X Limited for outright sale, that is cash sale price, is 1,21,000. So we are very clearly observing one thing: someone who is paying immediate amount on the transfer of control, that customer would pay 1,21,000. Here the special case over here is when X Limited has sold goods to this customer has paid only 1 lakh just because of one reason, that the payment was made by the customer in a substantial advance period, that is 2 years prior to the date of transfer of control. So one thing is very clear, the transaction price will be the cash sale price, that is 1,21,000. Payment made by customer is only 1 lakh. So it is this time X Limited that will recognize financing component as its expense rather than income. So let us see what is being asked by the question. Determine the transaction price and the financing component. Also show necessary accounting entries. So friends, we have more or less talked about this situation anyway a couple of times. Now let us see how to write up the answer. So one thing is very clear, the future value of 1 lakh after 2 years at 10% per annum will be definitely 1,21,000. However, the difference in this case is it is 1,21,000 which will be considered as the transaction price, and 1 lakh is the amount of payment because it is an advance payment. Gap is 2 years, which is a significant gap, and therefore the financing component involved over here is a significant financing component. Effective interest rate was given as 10% per annum. So you can verify just like the earlier example, 1 lakh plus 10% will make it 1,10,000. Again plus 10% will make it 1,21,000. So let us see how to write up the accounting entries. On the date of agreement, that is on 1/4/2019, sale cannot be recognized because goods have not been transferred. So payment has been received on this date. So this will be just as an advance payment. So bank account debit to customer's account 1 lakh. Thereafter, because the payment has been received at a significant advance period, obviously X Limited will be recognizing an interest expenses by end of the year, that is on 31st March 2020. Interest expenses debit to customer's account, it will be 10,000. Then same entry will be passed by end of next year, that is 31/3/2021, but the amount of interest will be slightly more because now it will be 10% of 1,10,000, that works out to 11,000. Finally, do you notice one thing, that customer has been given credit by 1 lakh plus 10,000 plus 11,000. Aggregate of these three is 1,21,000. So the customer's advance now with cumulation of interest expenses has become 1,21,000. The same will be offset against recognition of the transaction price in the form of sales. So final entry will be customer's account debit to sales. This is the entry that you will pass on the date the product is finally transferred. So please take note of this whole thing, and that will be end of the solution. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and write some notes on significant financing component. In determining the transaction price, an entity shall adjust the promised amount of consideration for the effects of the time value of money if the timing of payments provides the customer or the entity with a significant benefit of financing. Either party may benefit from financing. Number one, the customer may pay before the entity performs its obligation, that will be a customer loan to the entity, or the customer may pay after the entity performs its obligation, that is a loan by the entity to the customer. So friends, if you could see, the couple of examples that we have taken some time back were reflection of these 2 points, but now let us write up these notes as well. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and write some additional notes. A significant financing component may exist regardless of whether the promise of financing is explicitly stated in the contract or implied by the payment terms agreed to by the parties to the contract. An entity shall consider all relevant facts and circumstances in assessing whether a contract contains a financing component and whether that financing component is significant to the contract. So friends, write up this as well and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, let us move ahead and write some additional notes in this regard. An entity shall consider all of the following. So what is to be considered? Number one, the difference, if any, between the amount of promised consideration and the cash selling price of the promised goods or services. Second, the expected length of time between when the entity transfers the promised goods or services to the customer and when the customer pays for those goods or services. And lastly, the prevailing interest rates in the relevant market. So friends, please write up these points and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this as well. Let us move ahead and write one more paragraph in this regard. The objective when adjusting the promised amount of consideration for a significant financing component is for an entity to recognize revenue at an amount that reflects the price that a customer would have paid for the promised goods or services if the customer had paid cash for those goods or services when or as they transferred to the customer, that is the cash selling price. Note down this as well and then we begin with some case study based questions and calculative questions also. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this paragraph. Let us move ahead and take up question number 25. Let us read this question. A commercial airplane component supplier enters into a contract with a customer for promised consideration of rupees 70 lakhs. Based on an evaluation of facts and circumstances, the supplier concluded that rupees 1,40,000 represented an insignificant financing component because of an advance payment received in excess of a year before the transfer of control of the product. State whether the company needs to make any adjustment in determining the transaction price. What if the advance payment was larger and received further in advance such that the entity concluded that rupees 14 lakh represented the financing component based on an analysis of the facts and circumstances? Now friends, if you can observe this scenario, in the first case in the question, there was an advance made by the customer to the supplier and it was concluded by the supplier that 1,40,000 represented an insignificant financing component because of that advance. If you could see, 1,40,000 represents what percentage of 70 lakhs? 1,40,000 represents just 2% of this entire payment of 70 lakhs. That is why it has been considered as insignificant financing component, and because it is an insignificant financing component, the same will be excluded from the financing component calculation. In other words, the entire amount of transaction price will remain 70 lakhs. It will not be adjusted for a separate amount of financing component, that is 1,40,000. In simple words, entire 70 lakhs will be the transaction price. Financing component shall not be removed just because of its insignificance. However, when you deal with the later part of the question, can you notice one thing? That over here there is 14 lakhs that represents financing component because the advance payment was much larger and it was received further in advance. And if you observe one thing, 14 lakh represents what percentage of the total payment? 70 lakhs. 14 lakh represents 20% of this amount of 70 lakhs. Therefore, it is clear that if this amount is representing a financing component, definitely it will be considered as a significant financing component, and therefore the transaction price has to be adjusted for such financing component included therein. As a result, from this total amount payable by customer to supplier, that is rupees 70 lakhs, the same will be split into two components. One that represents a significant financing component, that is 14 lakhs, and the other part will be purely considered as the transaction price. So in such case, the transaction price for supply of these components for commercial airplane will not be 70 lakhs, it will be 70 lakhs minus 14 lakhs, and that would be just rupees 56 lakhs. So the whole analysis that we have made over here between the earlier case and later case was simply because of the fact of significance of that financing component involved. So actually speaking, both places financing component is involved, but in the first initial case the financing component is insignificant. In the second case it is definitely significant. So let us see how to write up the answer for the same. In your answer you would first mention that the entity may conclude that rupees 1,40,000 or 2% of contract price is not significant, and the entity may not need to adjust the consideration promised in determining the transaction price. However, when the advance payment was larger and received further in advance, such that the entity may conclude that rupees 14 lakhs represents the financing component based on an analysis of the facts and circumstances, in such a case the entity may conclude that rupees 14 lakh or 20% of the contract price is significant, and the entity should adjust the consideration promised in determining the transaction price. So friends, do one thing, write up this whole thing, and then I'll give you a small concluding note at the end. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and write up the later part of that note. The entity's conclusion that 2% of transaction price was not significant and 20% was significant is a judgment based on entity's facts and circumstances. An entity may reach a different conclusion based on its own facts and circumstances. So here we are purely relying on the judgment made by the entity. The other entity's facts and circumstances may be different. So what I am trying to tell you is, there may be situation where there can be an entity for which even 2% may represent a significant financing component, and there may be an exceptional case where even 20% may not represent financing component. So it is all based on facts and circumstances of the given case. So take note of this small note as well, and that will be end of your answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this note. Let us move ahead and take up another question, that is question number 26. Let us read this question. NKT Limited sells a product to a customer for rupees 1,21,000 that is payable 24 months after delivery. The customer obtains control of the product at contract inception. The contract permits the customer to return the product within 90 days. The product is new and the entity has no relevant historical evidence of product returns or other available market evidence. The cash selling price of the product is rupees 1 lakh, which represents the amount that the customer would pay upon delivery for the same product sold under otherwise identical terms and conditions as at contract inception. The entity's cost of the product is rupees 80,000. The contract includes an implicit interest rate of 10%. That is the interest rate that over 24 months discounts the promised consideration of rupees 1,21,000 to cash selling price of rupees 1 lakh. Analyze the above transaction with respect to its financing component. So friends, let us first of all analyze certain things. The cash selling price very clearly given in the question is rupees 1 lakh, and the ultimate amount that will be paid by customer to the supplier is given as 1,21,000. The question itself informs that the implicit interest rate is 10%, and if we can verify, 1 lakh plus 10% for first year will give you 1,10,000, and then 1,10,000 plus another 10% for the next year would give you definitely 1,21,000. So it is clearly being verified that if you consider 10% implicit interest rate and you consider the overall payment duration of 24 months, it is a clear financing component. First of all, if you look into one thing, this 24 months time is not an insignificant time. It is a significant time. Secondly, the rate of interest given as 10%. There is, however, no information about the comparable interest rate prevailing in the market. But if we consider that it is a 10% interest rate, and it will definitely include a financing component. In other words, out of 1,21,000, only 1 lakh will be considered as the transaction price, and the balance 21,000 will be considered as a financing component. So this information about entity's cost of the product indicates that the profit that will be recognized on outright sale will be difference between 80,000 and 1 lakh, that is rupees 20,000, and the balance 21,000 will be recognized as interest income over the period of 2 years. So let us see how to write up the answer for the same. In your answer, you would mention that the contract includes a significant financing component. This is evident from the difference between the amount of promised consideration of rupees 1,21,000 and the cash selling price of rupees 1 lakh at the date the goods are transferred to the customer. The contract includes an implicit rate of 10%, that is rate of interest that over 24 months discounts the promised consideration of rupees 1,21,000 to the cash selling price of rupees 1 lakh. The entity evaluates the rate and concludes that it is commensurate with the rate that would be reflected in a separate financing transaction between the entity and its customer at contract inception. So friends, because this rate is reflecting the market rate, it is clear that 10% will be considered as the effective interest rate even in accordance with Ind AS 109. However, if this rate was not available, then the rate would have been determined as an effective interest rate in accordance with Ind AS 109. However, because here it is clear that it is 10%, we are just going to consider 10% as effective interest rate. So do one thing, I'll give you a note about that Ind AS 109 application in this part, but first you write this whole part. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this part of the answer. Let us move ahead and write a note about application of Ind AS 109 in this case. So we would say, until the entity receives the cash payment from the customer, interest revenue would be recognized in accordance with Ind AS 109. And further, in determining the effective interest rate in accordance with Ind AS 109, the entity would consider the remaining contractual term that is applicable, particularly when the effective interest rate is to be determined. So do one thing friends, write up these small paragraphs also, and that will be end of your answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this answer. Let us move ahead and take up the next question, that is question number 27. Let us read this question. VT Limited enters into a contract with a customer to sell equipment. Control of the equipment transfers to the customer when the contract is signed. The price stated in the contract is rupees 1 crore plus a 10% contractual rate of interest payable in 60 monthly installments of rupees 2,12,470. Determine the discounting rate and the transaction price when. Now they have given two different cases, case A and case B. Case A, contractual discount rate reflects the rate in a separate financing transaction, and case B, contractual discount rate does not reflect the rate in a separate financing transaction, that is 14%. So friends, if you can observe, first of all, there is a clear presence of financing component, because the price stated in the contract for the outright sale is 1 crore and the contract also specifies 10% contractual rate of interest for payments to be made on installment basis. So there will be 60 monthly installments of rupees 2,12,470. That means the payment will be spread over a period of 5 years. And if you could sum up all these payments multiplying to 60 installments, definitely that future amount of payment will be much higher than 1 crore. So 1 crore can represent present value of these payments provided you consider 10% discounting rate. So in case A, where the discount rate itself is reflecting the separate financing transaction rate, then the 10% what is given in the contract will be considered as the discounting rate, and the present value of these payments will be obviously turning to rupees 1 crore. Therefore the transaction price will be 1 crore and 10% will be the effective interest rate or the discounting rate. However, in case B, if you could see, the separate financing transaction would involve a 14% rate, and in the given contract they are specifying only a 10% rate. That means this is as good as an artificially low rate of interest quoted in the contract. So in accordance with Ind AS 115, you are not going to consider 10% as discounting rate over here. In fact, it is 14% that will be considered as discounting rate. So all these future cash flows of 60 monthly installments of rupees 2,12,470 will be discounted using 14% discounting rate and not 10% discounting rate. However, if you apply a higher discounting rate, the present value definitely would be less than 1 crore, because the IRR for this arrangement is 10%. If you are discounting using a higher rate, the present value will be definitely less than 1 crore. In such case, it is that reduced present value which will be recognized as a sale proceeds of the equipment, and the differential will be considered as the interest or financing component to be recovered over 60 monthly installments. So let us see how to write up the answer. In your answer, you will obviously begin with case A. So you would write, in evaluating the discount rate in the contract that contains a significant financing component, VT Limited observes that the 10% contractual rate of interest reflects the rate that would be used in a separate financing transaction between the entity and its customer at contract inception. In other words, the contractual rate of interest of 10% reflects the credit characteristic of the customer. Means, in other words, 10% will be considered as the discounting rate. First write this much and then I take you ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this part of the answer. Let us move ahead and write the remaining part. You would write in that case further as, the market terms of financing mean that the cash selling price of the equipment is rupees 1 crore. This amount is recognized as revenue and as a loan receivable when control of the equipment transfers to the customer. The entity accounts for the receivable in accordance with Ind AS 109. So you have learned this in Ind AS 109 already, that the receivable over here, which is a loan receivable or a long term receivable, will be accounted for as a financial asset in accordance with Ind AS 109. So write up this concluding part and then we move to case B. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move to case B, and in case B, definitely what you will do is, you will consider a higher discounting rate of 14%. So here you write, in evaluating the discount rate in the contract that contains a significant financing component, the entity observes that the 10% contractual rate of interest is significantly lower than the 14% interest rate that would be used in a separate financing transaction between the entity and its customer at contract inception. In other words, the contractual rate of interest of 10% does not reflect the credit characteristics of the customer. This suggests that the cash selling price is less than rupees 1 crore. So friends, do one thing again, write up this part of the answer and then I take you ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and write the later part of the answer. VT Limited determines the transaction price by adjusting the promised amount of consideration to reflect the contractual payments using 14% interest rate that reflects the credit characteristic of the customer. Consequently, the entity determines that the transaction price is rupees 91,31,346, that is 60 monthly payments of rupees 2,12,470 discounted at 14%. Now friends, one important thing, this calculation was never required in the question, but if you want to make this calculation, definitely it can be done by discounting these installments by 14% per annum rate. But mind it, this will be not considered as a 5-year period rather than 60 months period, because the installments are payable on monthly basis. So there will be 60 periods of discounting involved over here on month to month basis. So there will be 60 different calculations of present value of each of these, and the effective discounting rate will be not 14% as it is, because 14% is a per annum rate. The effective rate of discounting on monthly basis will be 14 divided by 12 months. Further, the entity recognizes revenue and a loan receivable for that amount, and the entity accounts for the loan receivable in accordance with Ind AS 109. So friends, write up this whole thing, and that will be end of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this answer. Let us move ahead and take up the next question, that is question number 29. Let us read this question. ABC Limited enters into a contract for the construction of a power plant that includes scheduled milestone payments for the performance by ABC Limited throughout the contract term of 3 years. The performance obligation will be satisfied over time, and the milestone payments are scheduled to coincide with the expected performance by ABC Limited. The contract provides that a specified percentage of each milestone payment is to be withheld as retention money by the customer throughout the arrangement and paid to the entity only when the building is complete. Analyze whether the contract contains any financing component. So friends, what do we analyze in this given scenario? Things are very clear. It is a case where a contractor has undertaken the responsibility of constructing a building. So that construction contractor is going to take little longer time to complete the entire asset, and the customer will be making the payment to the contractor as and when the progress of the work is done. Now this is a usual practice in the construction business, that customer would always retain some portion of money and not make all the payments. The objective behind that retention is never the customer to take any finance facility. It was never the objective of the customer to arrange some finance out of that. Instead, the customer's objective to retain that money, and that too as a usual practice in this construction industry, it is very clear. It is to ensure that the contractor is completing the work at the stipulated time, and exactly in the manner as agreed upon or as stated in the contract, and if there are any adjustments to be done with that payment, it will be fine. There is scope of making that adjustment. For example, if I think from the viewpoint of customer, if all the money has been paid and finally I am a customer, I go to my building site and observe the work is not done the way I wanted, but now the money has been paid to the contractor. Contractor would not be even interested in performing any further service. Contractor would simply say, my task is done. Now, to avoid those kind of actions by the contractor, customer would retain always some portion, some small portion of money. So I am sure you understand the objective of retention of those payments in scenarios like this, and therefore we cannot say that there is any significant financing component involved. So let us see how to write up the answer for the same. ABC Limited concludes that the contract does not include a significant financing component since the milestone payments coincide with its performance and the contract requires amounts to be retained for reasons other than provision of finance. The withholding of specified percentage of each milestone payment is intended to protect the customer from the contractor failing to adequately complete its obligation under the contract. So friends, write up this whole thing and that will be end of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this answer as well. Let us move ahead and take up question number 30. Let us read this question now. XYZ Limited, a personal computer, that is PC manufacturer, enters into a contract with a customer to provide global PC support and repair coverage for 3 years along with its PC. The customer purchases this support service at the time of buying the product. Consideration for the service is an additional rupees 3000. Customer electing to buy this service must pay for it upfront, that is, a monthly payment option is not available. Analyze whether there is any significant financing component in the contract or not. So friends, normally if you could see, the contract of the service is for 3 years and the payment is made upfront. But if you look into the substance of the whole arrangement, the objective of collecting this amount on an upfront basis is not to arrange finance, first of all, and secondly, this service will be available for 3 years. The only objective of taking the entire lump sum along with the sale of the product is to just keep the customer tied up with the entity, so that customer is not having a choice to make a renewal later on monthly basis, and therefore we can consider that this is part of their business tactic and there is no objective of raising finance over here, and as a result we don't find any financing component involved. So let us see how to write up the answer for the same. In the answer you would first mention that to determine whether there is a significant financing component in the contract, the entity considers the nature of the service being offered and the purpose of the payment terms. The entity charges a single upfront amount not with the primary purpose of obtaining financing from the customer, but instead to maximize profitability, taking into consideration the risk associated with providing the service. Specifically, if customers could pay monthly, they would be less likely to renew, and the population of customers that continue to use the support service in the later years may become smaller and less diverse over time. So friends, first write up this much and then I take you to the remaining part of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this part of the answer. Let us move ahead and write up the later part. Here you would mention that in addition, customers tend to use services more if they pay monthly rather than making an upfront payment. Finally, the entity would incur higher administration costs, such as the cost related to administering renewals and collection of monthly payments. In assessing whether or not the contract contains a significant financing component, XYZ Limited determines that the payment terms were structured primarily for reasons other than the provision of finance to the entity. So write up this also, and then we write the remaining part of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing even this part of the answer. Let us move ahead and write the last part of the answer. Here you would mention that XYZ Limited charges a single upfront amount for the services because other payment terms such as monthly payment plan would affect the nature of risks it assumes to provide the service and may make it uneconomical to provide the service. As a result of its analysis, XYZ Limited concludes that there is not a significant financing component involved in this arrangement. So please write up this whole thing, and that would be end of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole answer. Let us move ahead and take up the next question, that is question number 31. Let us read this question. A computer hardware vendor enters into a 3-year arrangement with a customer to provide support services. For customers with low credit ratings, the vendor requires the customer to pay for the entire arrangement in advance of the provision of service. Other customers pay over time. Analyze whether there is any significant financing component in the contract or not. So friends, once again, if you could see the whole objective of taking the upfront payment, it is not for arranging finance again in this case. Can you notice only for the customers that have low credit ratings, the vendor is asking them to make the upfront payment with the only objective to secure itself and not to take the risk of non-payment by the customer. So we don't find any financing component involved over here. So let us see how to write up the answer for the same. In your answer, you would mention that due to this customer's credit rating, the customer pays in advance for the 3-year term. There is no difference between the amount of promised consideration and the cash selling price. That is, the customer does not receive a discount for paying in advance. The vendor requires payment in advance only to protect against customer non-payment, and no other factors exist to suggest that the arrangement contains a financing component. The vendor concludes this contract does not provide the customer or the entity with a significant benefit of financing. So friends, note down this whole thing, and that will be end of the answer. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. So if we can recall what all we have covered up within this class today, we had been focusing only and only on one aspect. We are in the third step, that is determining the transaction price. Within that step, we have just dealt with one component today, that is identification of significant financing component with respect to the transaction price. So friends, you have seen lots of situations where the transaction price is getting influenced by inclusion or existence of a significant financing component. So how and when to adjust this financing component with the transaction price has been discussed throughout this class. In the sessions ahead, we are going to still talk about this same third step, that is determining the transaction price. The other components which are yet to be discussed will be covered up in those sessions, and then the follow-up steps and lots of case study based questions as well as calculative questions. So friends, in order to have a comprehensive, complete understanding of this entire Ind AS 115, I would just request you to stay tuned with me and keep following the sessions one after the other. So as of now, we put an end to this session. Let us declare this as end of part 3. Thank you so much for attending the class.